And welcome back to the show. Well, we know that you are huge fans of TesseracT out there because you asked us to play their music all the time on this show. And of course, you are very, very excited about their Australian tour that is coming up in May. So we thought tonight we would actually get one of the members of the band on the phone to chat about this amazing tour. So welcome to the program, James.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries. Now, mate, tell us a little bit about this upcoming tour. How do you guys feel about being able to head back to Australia?
We're really excited to come back. It's been, 5, 6 years, which is a hell of a long time. Obviously, there was COVID in the middle of that, which has extended things somewhat. But yeah, we've always loved coming to Australia ever since the first time we came over with Periphery in 2011, and then we did Soundwave about 10 years ago, and we've been back a few times since. And it's always great crowds and a good time. And we're really excited to play our new material to all the Australian music fans there.
Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about that new material in just a moment, but have you guys been aware of how your fan base here in Australia has also grown over the last 5 or 6 years as well?
I suppose it's really hard to tell when I know you're not physically present there, but I'm noticing from the venues going up in capacity and doing 2 nights in Melbourne, and we're really excited to see what the fan base is like when we get there. But yeah, it looks great, and we're very excited for it.
Now, of course, we're talking about the new material as well. War of Being was such an amazing album. How has it felt for you guys being out there and playing that new material live, and how has it gone down with audiences?
Yeah, it's been really great playing this new material. We haven't had an album out in over 5 years, 6 years, however long it is, I can't remember now. And so to finally be able to play a whole bunch of new stuff was really exciting for us, and kind of liven things up a bit. The response to the album's been amazing. We're really, really pleased. I think it's a very special album for us because it's the one we've spent the most amount of time on and put the most amount of effort in, and we're collectively the most pleased with it. So to see such a great response from fans is brilliant, and yeah, playing it live is a lot of fun.
So talk us through that. You just mentioned that you spent a lot more time on this album and a lot more work went into this album. What was it that made working on this album so different to what you had done in the past?
I think one big part of it was that there was a hard deadline, and for every previous album since the first one, there's always been a pressure to get something out. There's tours coming up. There's pressure from management to keep momentum up, which is all understandable because it's all how you grow a band. But with this record, we've had a lot more time and we've been able to really use that time. And I think COVID probably weirdly helped because the world stopped for a bit, and so it brought us more time to really make sure that what we're putting out is exactly what we want, and we're entirely happy with it. Dan also worked with a vocal producer to really get the best performance out of him that he's ever had. And the other big changes, we managed to fully record live drums as well. So I went into a studio called Middle Farm in the southwest of England, and all the drums are entirely live, whereas previously a lot of it's been programmed, partly due to financial constraints, also practicalities. So I think many reasons why this record is important to us.
I've spoken to a few bands that have actually said that in a way COVID ended up being a blessing in disguise because it gave them a chance to be off the road for a while and let themselves physically recover from years and years of being on the road and mentally recover, but also to spend more time writing music without having tours and everything interrupting as well. Is that what you would say that was for you guys as well? And how did you spend that time during COVID? Did you spend some of that time mentally recovering from touring and things like that as well?
I suppose so, yeah. That's interesting. I never thought of it like that, because, but that's a really good point. I think a lot of COVID, but there wasn't a huge amount of writing going on over that period, but there was definitely, we definitely became refreshed because of it, which really helps with working on the new album sort of a few years back. So yeah, I think maybe COVID just was like a nice bit of a reset button, I suppose, which was beneficial for us, but I don't want to brag about it too much. So I know that COVID ruined a lot of bands
Yeah.
and touring plans and so on. So some people didn't have it much worse. We were one of the lucky ones, I think.
Yeah, a lot of drummers have said to me that it was for the first time in their lives, like without touring, they didn't have sore shoulders and sore joints and things like that for the first time in ages.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, very true.
So, James, you mentioned before about having fun memories of touring in Australia. Tell us a little bit about those memories. What kind of things do you remember about touring in Australia and your Australian fans?
Well, I think a really big memory was when we did Soundwave 10 years ago, because we got to enjoy a lot of the festival, but got to go out and about and hang out with people, watch a bunch of bands. We went to go and see Koalas, I think, which is a bit random. Um, yeah, every other tour we've done has always been like, I don't know, it's a bit of like a almost very quick in and out sort of flash in the pan kind of thing, which I guess it's always, I don't know, it's a very long way to go, and then you cram so much in, then you leave. It's like a whirlwind of just constant sort of excitement and craziness. And, we're very, very excited to do it again. Well, I think it'd be quite nice this time around because we have 2 days in Melbourne. We actually have some time to maybe go and see some stuff, explore the place a little bit more, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. You do get a few days off this time in the middle of this tour. What kind of things do you like to do on those days off? Do you like to get out and explore restaurants, explore shops? What do you like to personally do on those days?
Finding good food is always a big priority. I like to do that. I guess it's in an interesting area. I always enjoy just a bit of local tourism, going and checking out the sites, whether it's sort of architecture or I don't know, if it's an interesting kind of museum, that kind of thing. I don't know, just whatever the local sites are. I'd definitely like to try and do something. The tour manager Harry and I have a thing we got something called a hot lap, where if we're in an interesting area, we'll jump on like a lime scooter if that's available, or something like that, and go and catch a couple of sites in our 1 hour window. This time around we do have a bit more time, so I'm hoping to really explore a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we've got an amazing museum here in Melbourne. We've also got something called the Historical Tram, which is called the City Circle Tram, which will actually take you right around all of the historical parts of Melbourne, and a voiceover will explain all those historical parts to you as well. So that's well worth a look when you're in Melbourne.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Cheers for the tip.
Yeah, no worries. So I got to ask you about Australian audiences as well. We're kind of known for being a bit of a wilder kind of audience. How have you found the Australian audiences over the years?
It's been so long, I can't quite remember, if I'm honest. But I think from memory, they've always been very good crowds, very enthusiastic and very energetic. And it's interesting. Traditionally, we've always had a bit more of a reserved crowd, but on this record, things have livened up a lot. I think there's a much younger audience that have got into the band since COVID and since the record's come out, who are bringing a bit more sort of energy to the shows. So I'm hoping Australia is going to step it up even more than they've had in Europe. So let's see.
Definitely. Well, James, I know we are running out of time very quickly, but I had 2 quick questions I wanted to ask before I go. First of all, what else have you guys got planned for this year? Aside from touring, are you guys hoping to sit down and start working on new material? What are your plans for 2024?
There's still a bit of touring after this. We've got a couple of festivals, and then there's a couple of things not announced for later in the year. But there's also a penciled-in writing period, which we want to get onto new material sooner rather than later this time. And traditionally, it's not nearly always happened in everyone's and in particular Ackle's home studios, whereas this time around we're going to try some more sort of jam-based approaches if we can find the time just to get together, just to get some raw ideas down. But yes, I think there's a period towards the end of the year where we're dedicated to new material. So fingers crossed there'll be something new sooner rather than later, but I don't want to promise anything.
Awesome. Well, mate, to finish off, what would you like to say to our listeners out there who have already bought tickets to your show or are thinking about buying tickets to your shows? What would you like to say to them all?
Well, so those who have bought tickets to the shows already, thank you so much for your support. We are seriously humbled by support from the other side of the world. We can't wait to see you and hang out. And to those who haven't quite yet got tickets, don't miss out. They're selling fast. I believe I think quite a few of them on low ticket warnings. Some are sold out, so get in quick.